She never expected an invitation to change everything. Sofia Ramirez, once dismissed and belittled, received a single envelope that would turn her world upside down. Inside was a wedding invitation. From the man who humiliated her, the ex-husband who thought she'd stay small, invisible, and powerless. But this time she wasn't the same. What happens when the person who underestimated you becomes your stage for justice? Sofia Ramirez, 33, had spent years keeping her life quiet and unassuming. After a painful divorce from Daniel Carter, a man who had once belittled her at every opportunity, she settled into a routine that offered comfort in its predictability. Her days were filled with writing articles for the small-town newspaper, covering local politics, and living in a modest apartment that reflected a life of simplicity, not ambition. Social events were rare, and invitations to anything grand were usually ignored, part of her strategy to avoid reminders of what she had lost. But beneath the calm surface, Sofia had grown sharper, stronger, and more aware of the world around her. Every story she investigated, every lead she chased, revealed not just corruption and injustice, but also the potential for her own vindication. Her investigative work on irregularities in city contracts had already earned her national recognition, opening doors she had never imagined. Still, she remained cautious, moving carefully in a world that often underestimated her because of her past. Then, on a quiet Thursday morning, an envelope arrived. The handwriting on the front was unmistakable: Daniel Carter. Inside, a pearlescent wedding invitation announced the union of Daniel and Vanessa Blake, with a handwritten note that sent chills down Sofia's spine. "I thought you might like to see how a real wedding is done. I hope you'll attend. It will be instructive." 6 years had passed since their divorce, but the memory of his calculated cruelty remained vivid. Daniel believed he could humiliate her, reminding the world of her supposed insignificance. What he didn't realize was that Sofia was no longer the woman who cried during their separation. She was ready, prepared with every piece of evidence, every connection, and a plan that could expose his arrogance in a way he would never recover from. And so, with a single invitation, the stage was set. Sofia's days after receiving the invitation became a calculated blend of preparation and patience. She knew Daniel's arrogance too well. The man who once mocked her at office parties, ignored her at lawyers' galas, and treated her as if her existence were irrelevant. Every condescending message he sent over the weeks only sharpened her resolve. He thought she had remained the insecure woman who cried during their divorce. He had no idea that the woman reading his notes now was a force he could no longer control. With the help of Gabriel Torres, a federal prosecutor specializing in financial crimes, Sofia meticulously reviewed her evidence. There were bank statements detailing suspicious transactions, photographs of Daniel accepting envelopes from construction executives, and audio recordings of him orchestrating which companies would receive lucrative city contracts. Each piece of proof was a brick in the wall she was constructing, one that would ultimately collapse over Daniel's carefully curated public image. She coordinated with Paula Hernandez, a city procurement secretary who had quietly observed the corruption, and Lucas Monroe, her editor and confidant. Together, they traced $2.5 million siphoned from city contracts over 3 years, money that had helped fund Daniel's extravagant lifestyle and now, his opulent wedding. Every detail mattered. Every confirmation strengthened the story that would turn a celebration into a revelation. Meanwhile, Daniel went about his final weeks before the wedding with blissful ignorance. He flaunted his success, arranging grand floral arrangements, hiring a string quartet, and sending countless messages to friends and colleagues boasting about the event. His bride, Vanessa Blake, a polished blonde lawyer and the daughter of a prominent judge, remained unaware of the storm gathering outside the wedding hall. To him, Sofia's potential attendance was just another opportunity to humiliate someone he deemed inferior. Sofia, however, was no longer invisible. Her investigation had opened doors she never imagined, granting her access to moments of truth that would otherwise remain hidden. She mapped every angle of the wedding, planned her arrival, and ensured that Gabriel would be there as her anchor and witness. The black Rolls-Royce waiting outside was more than a statement. It was a symbol of the control she had regained. As the wedding day approached, the tension became almost unbearable. Sophia imagined Daniel's smug smile dissolving into panic. She pictured the shock on Vanessa's face, the whispers of guests realizing that the woman they had underestimated was not only present but fully armed with the evidence that would dismantle Daniel's life. Each step of preparation was a careful blend of strategy and patience, each email and call a piece in a game he didn't even know he was playing. By the time Sophia stepped into the hall in her gold couture gown, jewelry sparkling, and hair in elegant waves, she carried more than just confidence. She carried the culmination of months of investigation, preparation, and quiet resilience. Every glance from the guests, every gasp, and every second of Daniel's rising panic brought her closer to the moment when the scales of justice would tip. And as the music played, the crowd gathered, and Daniel remained blissfully unaware. The air itself seemed to thrum with anticipation. What no one realized yet was that this wedding, intended to celebrate arrogance and status, was about to become a stage for exposure, reckoning, and the ultimate reversal of power. The grand hall shimmered with chandeliers, laughter, and the soft notes of a string quartet. Guests mingled, oblivious to the storm about to break. Sophia entered with measured poise, each step calculated, the glint of her gold gown catching every eye. Gabriel flanked her, calm but alert, while cameras from journalists positioned discreetly captured the anticipation in the room. Daniel's smug expression froze as soon as he saw her. The man who had once dismissed her, mocked her, and thought he could make her feel invisible now faced the undeniable presence of a woman transformed. Whispers rippled through the crowd, but Sophia moved with confidence, carrying not just her elegance but the power of truth. She approached the display table and, with deliberate precision, revealed her evidence. Photographs of Daniel accepting envelopes from construction executives, audio recordings detailing his manipulation of city contracts, and a tablet showing the flow of illicit funds and payments for his wedding flashed for all to see. The room fell silent. The music faded under the collective gasp of 150 stunned guests. Vanessa's smile vanished, replaced by confusion and horror. Daniel's face drained of color, the arrogance replaced by panic. He scrambled, attempting to explain, to dismiss, to regain control, but every denial fell flat. The journalists captured it all, the unraveling of a man who had believed himself untouchable. Within moments, federal authorities arrived, handcuffs ready, stepping forward as Daniel's world collapsed. He was escorted out, live, in front of everyone he had hoped to impress. The audience, initially drawn for celebration, witnessed a reckoning instead. A display of courage, justice, and the reversal of power. Vanessa removed her ring in shock, leaving the hall as whispers and camera flashes documented the chaos. Sophia remained, composed and unshaken, a triumphant figure amid the fallout. Every insult, every dismissal from years past had led to this moment. The man who sought to humiliate her had inadvertently provided the stage for her greatest victory. And as the last handcuff clicked, the realization settled over the room. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a reckoning. The echoes of the wedding hall slowly faded, leaving behind stunned silence and a sense of awe. Daniel Carter, once untouchable, was now powerless, his reputation shattered and his freedom stripped away. Vanessa Blake annulled the marriage, seeking justice for the deception and extravagance built on stolen funds. But the true victory belonged to Sophia Ramirez. She had not only exposed corruption, she had reclaimed her dignity, proving that resilience, intellect, and integrity could triumph over arrogance and cruelty. Her story became national news, a powerful reminder that appearances often conceal truths, and that those underestimated can become the most formidable forces. Sophia's investigative work, once confined to small-town politics, now influenced major media outlets, inspiring aspiring journalists and activists alike. Gabriel, Lucas, and Paula received recognition for their crucial roles, yet Sophia's presence, the poise, courage, and unwavering resolve, remained the defining image of the scandal. More than a personal victory, this moment highlighted a larger truth. Systems of power often rely on the invisibility and suppression of marginalized voices. Daniel's actions had been fueled by bias and entitlement, assuming Sophia's voice could be silenced, her abilities dismissed. Yet when the stage was set, she transformed perceived weakness into undeniable strength. Her triumph was a statement that injustice, when met with courage and evidence, could be dismantled publicly and decisively. Sophia went on to establish a leading investigative firm, using her skills to uncover corruption, fight inequality, and mentor others facing systemic obstacles. Daniel's downfall served as a stark reminder that arrogance and prejudice, no matter how carefully hidden, eventually meet accountability. In the quiet aftermath, Sophia and Gabriel raised a toast, not in revenge, but in achievement. The best revenge, they said, is building something so great that they become irrelevant. Her story leaves one question lingering for every viewer. How often do we underestimate those around us? And what might happen if we ignored the illusions of power and truly listened to the strength and truth of others? What would you do if someone tried to humiliate you in front of the world? Would you crumble, or would you rise like Sophia did? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because her story challenges us all to confront injustice and stand up with courage. If you found this story powerful and inspiring, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more true life stories that reveal strength, resilience, and the fight against corruption.